So hi everyone, my name is Shadik. For those that don't know me, I'm actually a registered nurse here in Trinidad, and also I'm registered by the Board of Nursing in Florida, and that's in America. And I stumbled upon nursing. I actually went away to study medicine, and I was just getting really frustrated with all the labs, and I changed to nursing, and I actually fell in love with it. I love the profession. I love the bedside aspect of the profession, and yeah, here we are.
All right, cool. Very nice. Okay, so let's say I get COVID-19 today. What medicine do I buy? What do I get?
Okay, so I think it's really important to understand COVID before we jump into like what we should buy. Because if we understand what's happening, then we know what to buy. Okay, so when you have a virus, I'm gonna try to make it as easy to understand as possible without imagery. When you have a virus, it is, let's think of it as encapsulated, right? And depending on what's around it, it is able to send messages and do different things and interact with your cells in your body, right? And the difference between the normal flu and COVID are those receptors that are around the capsule, I could call it capsule, right? So the actual receptors are called spikes, right? Or we could call it S receptors for short. And the difference between a flu receptor and the spikes is that they actually connect with the angiotensin converting enzyme, which is specific to our respiratory and gastrointestinal tracts. So whereas a flu is very widespread, kind of not really specialized cell related, so you would get a general kind of downer, but with COVID you're actually experiencing symptoms that are related to the two. So now if we want to go into what kind of medication you should buy, of course, just like when you have the common flu, those are kind of the things that you want to get. So basically, okay, with a virus, you're not going to get things like antibiotics and things like that. So what you're really doing is just calming your symptoms so that you could get through it in a nice way, in the nicest way possible, but you still have the virus, right? So you want to get things like acetaminophen or paracetamol for your high fever. You want to get things like, I don't know if you like to drink orange juice, or if some people like to drink lime and honey for your throat. So just really keeping your throat comfortable, keeping your symptoms of your fever down. Again, you could get some cough medication, whatever that looks like for you. If you have the symptom of the cough, I'm more of a holistic kind of person, so I would rather for me, how I have asthma, so I have a nebulizer. I also think it's really important to get a humidifier. It will help to calm down any of the allergens that you might be exposed to outside as well.
What is a humidifier?
It changes the density of the liquid in the air.
So how does it look? Is it like a box and?
Yeah, you could get all kind of different shapes nowadays. So it really just helps to make you breathe easier, because the air is I think it makes the air less dry. If you don't have a humidifier, the other thing that people say to do is you could just go on into the shower, turn it on really hot, and just inhale the steam. So you just really want that dampness. You want basically your respiratory tract to be wet. People are gonna laugh at me. But it's the truth, it's the truth. You really just want it to be just as moist as possible, because then that is not what the virus will hold on to. You know what I mean? Because you get a dry cough associated with it, shortness of breath, all those things. So when you lubricate your respiratory system, it works a lot better, but not mucus lubrication. So you want to stay away from things like dairy and things that will make you more stuffy or feel more congested. So you could also buy a decongestant as well if you want. I'm not really too sure about that whole ambulance coming for you thing. I'm not really very familiar with the protocol of COVID quarantine in Trinidad. I do have some knowledge because I have friends that are doctors that work on the front lines. But if you are in a situation where you have to go into quarantine and it is at a facility, I would say you would take the same before mentioned products for your own keeping. At a facility, they may not let you take your own home meds, which would be things that you bring into the facility, but you could always let them know that you have it, and if you are going to take it, let them know beforehand, because they may be giving you things there already, so you might not need to necessarily take medication. But of course, I would say pack for 14 days, or maybe ask them before how long you're going to be staying for. I mean, all your daily living things. I would say to pack tea. I think tea is really helpful, from the steam that will help to humidify or moisten your actual respiratory tract, as well as the benefits of tea are extensive, and it will help with the symptoms that you might be experiencing. So I would say like a good lemon ginger, maybe a turmeric and honey, things that also will boost your immune system at the same time, so you will feel better faster along with whatever they're doing in the facility. I can't think of anything else really. I think that's
No, I
really
think that's a big
straightforward.
one, you know. Like, I know a girl, she actually studied medicine now, and even before she started studying medicine, she always told me her remedy, she's from Labray, her remedy is tea.
Yeah, I
Like,
listen,
she let me know, she feel tired, tea. Listen.
Yep. And let me tell you
She
that
hardcore with that tea. She hardcore with that tea. So
nah, tea is rather.
I went to there, I went there. Alright, cool. So, what do you suggest someone would eat? Yeah, so like that's one of my questions. What type of food should someone eat? Would you suggest if like you get COVID? So like I'm thinking of it from my perspective, right? Like literally from my perspective, as in. So I think at some point, depending on your symptoms, they may or may not take you. They might just leave you to like self-quarantine, depending on your symptoms, right? If it's not too bad. So say I'm home and I'm home for like 14 days. Should I like be eating anything special, or should I just have like my regular diet and eat a stew chicken and a KFC and you know like whatever is whatever now?
I have a thing with healthy stuff on it.
So like what food should I tell my friends to bring for me?
Okay. I obviously can't tell you all the food you should buy because that's more.
Yeah.
So I think I would rather say what you should stay away from.
Okay, yeah, tell me.
So I would say, when you're thinking of COVID, think of it as, I'm going to downplay it, right? As a really bad flu, right? So you want to stay away from things that are not going to help boost your immune system in any way, or are not going to, or foods that are going to produce mucus. So that would be dairy. Actually, I've spoke to one of my friends, and there's a study out that chicken actually produces mucus. An over excess of mucus in your body. So you might want to stay away from chicken. Don't say I said, but he is very extensive in like nutrition, and he told me that personally. I didn't actually do my own research on it myself, but soft drinks definitely improve mucus for sure. So stay away from that. Think of getting things like rich in antioxidants. So I know we aren't like a very berry country because we don't really grow that many berries, but try to get like strawberries and different things that will have antioxidants in it. So you could get acai bowls from Sweet Beet. They have a good selection of berries. If you drink tea twice a day, it will help a lot, because even if you are feeling congested or anything, and you do, like if you just like inhale the smoke before, it will help. If you don't like tea and you still want to get the steam therapy, you could get a bucket or a bowl of water, put some Vicks in it, or some peppermint drops, and or some eucalyptus drops, and just cover yourself and your head with it and a towel, like you could do it on your table, and just stay there and just inhale the steam. That'll help even if you do it once a day to really keep everything nice and moist and healthy.
Next one is which is number 4. So how does one sanitize if you actually contract the virus?
If you do get the virus, you go into something called isolation, right? So there's 2 different types. There's isolation where you are in a facility and you're being isolated, or there's self-isolation where you are home or you know you have COVID and you're home and you're doing it yourself, right? You're remembering how it is spread by droplets, and you're gonna, if you're coming out into the common area where other people are living because you need to go use the bathroom because you have you share a community bathroom or anything, wear your mask, walk to the bathroom. Let's say we just using the bathroom as an example. Wash your hands when you get to the bathroom. Use the bathroom. Wash your hands when you leave. Have some wipes or some kind of antibacterial spray handy to spray down whatever you may have touched, like the doorknobs and things like that. I think also people are forgetting to wash their masks. If you do have cloth masks or reusable masks, that's really important because, I mean, it's the same thing as washing your hands, in my opinion. So if you have that there and you're touching your face, or you might flip it inside out and you forget and you have it, you touch your face and then you touch things, it's kind of, you know, you also get surface spread as well from contact. So just be mindful of all those things if you share a common space. But it's not in the air to say that if I am around you and you're sitting far away from me, I'm gonna get it. So don't think that you have to.
Yeah, your neighbor have COVID, and you know.
Yeah, and you're gonna get COVID.
Yeah, you don't wanna take out the garbage.
Yeah, you could still, if you live alone, you could walk around like normal and you don't have to worry about anything. Of course, sanitize if you have anyone coming over and things like that. But it's 14 days, it's 2 weeks. Just try to be as, you know, to yourself as possible, and sanitize. Have at least 60% alcohol in your sanitizer if you're using an alcohol-based sanitizer. Well, it should be alcohol-based, but make sure it's 60%, and I think that's it.
So let's say you have a patient and this person has COVID. What would you advise that they do with their time?
A symptom of COVID is fatigue. So you might actually just be tired. So you might sleep. But if you're like, let's say you're coming out to the end of it and you reach like 10 days and you're feeling great and you still have like 4 or 5 more days left, you could take some time to yourself, because obviously you're by yourself, right? So do different things that you might have wanted to do in the past that you never really had time for. You know, we were saying we don't have time for that, we don't have time for that. You could do things like that to occupy your time. You could play online games with your friends if you're extroverted. You could read a book. You could let me see what else I'd do. I would start an online business. An online drop shipping business. I mean, everybody's doing it now, but I think that there's lots of things that we have a need for in Trinidad that we don't necessarily have readily available like everywhere else. So it would be something nice to do. If you're not feeling so proactive, I think it's just really good as a self-reflection time. We don't ever get time to ourselves, and I feel like everyone in some way was asking for a break, and now we've gotten a break. So however you would have used that break is what you should do. My go-to, honestly, is cinnamon, like a cinnamon stick, lemon or lime, and a little bit of honey. And you could even use CBD honey, and that'll kind of, or if you get CBD oil, and you put some of that in it, it'll help a lot with like the body pains that you might be feeling. If you have it, and if you're trying not to get it, I think that's a good drink to do. I personally am not a fan of sugar in your tea. I think it's a little counterproductive, because it is mucus. I think it creates a little bit of mucus. So if you could help it, and you could just put that raw cinnamon, that raw lime, and that honey, and just really just drink that, I think that would really help. Try to stay away from excessive salt if you can. If you want to go still, I would say, holistic route, because it's still vitamins, you can go to Revive and get an IV. The reason why I think it is so good is because one of the vitamins that helps us a lot when we have COVID is vitamin D and vitamin C. And I mean, you could stand up outside and sunbathe if you do realize you have COVID, and it will help if you go sunbathing. Obviously, you can't go to the beach, and you shouldn't go to the beach if you have COVID. So just, if you have a yard and you're not living in like a community compound, just like sit outside for like maybe an hour or two every day, and that should help you generate enough vitamin D. I'm sure there's supplements as well that you can take. But if you want to do it and it's fast, you could go to Revive and you could take vitamin C and glutathione. Glutathione is actually one of your super antioxidants in your body, and it is one of my favorites. And they have it at Revive, and you can do it as IV itself, or you can do it as a shot. And what that will do is give you a cellular detox. So along with drinking your tea, taking your paracetamol, doing all those other things, and the good thing about it is you also get any fluid, so you get any hydration, because obviously we want to be drinking lots of fluid. I think it will really help to give you that immune push to make sure that your symptoms remain mild to moderate and not go into severe, especially if you have pre-existing conditions.
So what's the difference between an IV and a shot?
Okay, so IV is more fluid in Revive, right? So you would take your IV as 250 milliliters of fluid, because it's a recreational thing. So you wouldn't get a full bag of 1,000 mLs that you get in your hospital. You get in 250 mLs of fluid. And with a shot, so let's say you do your normal bag of whatever IV you want to get. Let's say you get a beauty drip, and you say, okay, I want to boost my immune system. You get a shot of glutathione, which is glutathione reconstituted in about like 10 mLs of fluid, and we just put that into so it's like a push into your IV directly instead of the full bag of fluid. Well, just stay away from carbonated beverages, stay away from overly sugary beverages in general, which is carbonated, but also like juice, unless it's like orange juice or homemade lime juice or something that's you want to basically go back to very basic, very natural things. So homemade juice, orange or lime, or those freshly squeezed ones that they get in the grocery, and water. I would say if you can't afford it, do the alkaline water, because honestly, having your body in an alkaline state is much better for you in general. So especially if you have flu-like symptoms or a virus, it would help a lot to just everything to work. Another thing that I forgot to mention, which is a really big thing in most medical conditions, so it also applies to the virus or the flu, try to stop or reduce smoking. Remember that this virus is specifically targeting your angiotensin converting enzyme 2, which directly affects your respiratory and GI tract. So you want to make sure that you're doing things to have healthy lungs, healthy throat, and healthy gut. So keep that in mind with everything that you do. Is this going to affect my breathing? Is it going to affect my stomach? Am I going to be able to breathe properly? I would definitely recommend a retest after your self-isolation or your self-quarantine if you have someone that was COVID positive in your house and you were self-quarantining with them. A good way to know that you're definitely over it is you no longer spike a fever when you aren't taking the medication. So if you're taking like acetaminophen or something for your fever and you haven't taken it in 24 hours and you haven't spiked a fever, that's a good indication that, oh hey, my 14 days are up and I'm doing this and I'm managing all my symptoms on my own without medication. Then you could go get retested, and once you get retested and you get back your results, good to go. Wash your bottom, wash your hands. I'm just kidding.
Definitely playing that.
I think that in a pandemic, we always have this like anxiety related to, oh my gosh, I have the flu. Like it's almost like you have something that I'm gonna die. Like your immediate thought is I'm gonna die. And I think the major take home is once you're being vigilant with your precautions as a citizen, and you're wearing your mask and you're washing your hands and you're doing the things that you're supposed to, you should be okay, especially if you're doing the things to boost your immunity at home. But if you do get it, I think it's really important to stay calm and not think that it's a death sentence. Just understand what it's targeting. Remember that you want to maintain your respirations and maintain your respiratory tract in general and your respiratory system. Maintain your digestive system and just take care of yourself. We should be taking care of ourselves anyway. So this is just, I think, a really big wake up call. I was gonna say nice wake up call. This is a really big wake up call for everyone in the world to come together and really evaluate the things that we do for ourselves in terms of wellness and what that looks like. And I think another thing that I didn't mention before is if you could be active for at least an hour a day, that really does help with your immunity and your well-being, and it will also help if you do have the flu as well. You can exercise and sweating out those toxins, and just really getting your fever under control is really helpful as well. That's my take home. Just take care of yourselves, wash your hands, and don't panic.